If you are ready to supercharge your business with AI, you're going to want to tune in to this interview. Nicole Donnelly is an AI enthusiast, and she's also a former professional snowboarder, CEO, and mom. She seeks out people who inspire and challenge her to improve her everyday area of life. She's the author of 3 books, including Rash to Riches, How I Grew Baby Legs, From a Home Business to a Global Brand, The Social Media Playbook, and The Happy Camper Guidebook to a Happier Life. Nicole has won several business awards, including Seattle's 40 Under 40, Small Business Excellence in International Trade, and many others. Her company, Baby Legs, won the Industry Design Excellence Award for 12 years in a row. They were named Seattle's best place to work and received a national award for workplace flexibility. And as you hear her interview, you're going to learn just how dynamic and remarkable her work culture is and Nicole as a human. Tune in and enjoy our chat. All right, my powerhouses. So for today, I have this super badass, unstoppable entrepreneur, Nicole Donnelly. Nicole, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and you probably have one of the most interesting stories, background, and where you've weaved over the years and into different things from X Games, becoming a mom, Baby Legs, author, now in AI, which is like, I don't know, the sexiest space to be in. But I'd love for you to share with everybody just how, your version, because I definitely can't do it any justice, is to where you started and your story.
Yeah, and I want to start from the very beginning. I'll just be brief about it. But when I was a kid, I lived in the desert in a mobile home on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. I was not cultivated in any environment that would have indicated what I'm doing now. And, the closest town had 600 people. So it was a very, very different world than I'm living in now. And we moved to Utah when I was in elementary school, and I got to see more people's parents doing business. My family did not. And I think that exposure was probably good to see, subconsciously. Then after I finished university, I was 20 years old and I had taken snowboarding as a class. And I moved to Park City and I was snowboarding full time. And I started competing because there are competitions that came to the mountain. And my first full-time season, I didn't start snowboarding really till I was 19. My first full-time season, I was 20 and 21. And because of my background in gymnastics, I wanted to flip off of everything. And that led to X Games because that was the biggest thing at the time, and doing big air at the X Games. I also raced a lot of border cross, did half pipe and slope style too, and lived in my car because there was a choice of entry fees or rent at that point. And so I worked a couple of jobs and made it work. And it was a lot of fun. Moved to the Pacific Northwest because I wanted to be close to Whistler. And I couldn't get a job there in Canada as an American. And I tried and ended up at Baker and then Stevens Pass. And then I got knocked up in the off season, had a kid, moved to Seattle with Sarah's dad. And when Sarah was little, they had a diaper rash really bad. And it would be when I was introducing first foods. So I'd cut off my snowboard socks, pulled them up over Sarah's knees, and Baby Legs was born. And within 3 years, we were in 85 countries. And I was on a mission to make parents' lives better. We had stores in Japan. We were in all Target stores, Nordstrom's. We were everywhere. And then I sold that company. And Baby Legs are now in the Museum of History and Industry in Seattle, which is kind of fun.
So cool. Yeah.
I was first excited when they were at the thrift store because that meant they made it through the life cycle and they were still good and they could live on. And then it was the thrift store was the milestone after the thrift store was, they're in a museum. So that was kind of cool. And what I really liked about it was connecting with our customers. And our customers were mostly women, moms, aunties, grandparents, people who cared about their kids. And so it was or the kids that they loved in their lives. And it was just a great customer base to have. And I wanted to serve them more and in a different way after I sold it. So I started a marketing agency. And we really specialized in social media and connecting with the customers in the beginning. And this was like the beginning days of Facebook for Business. So it's been a while. And I grew that a bit, sold it, bought another company, and then sold the other company, got my marketing agency back, and have had other, failed attempts at business in the meantime, different projects that started and didn't take off. And I still have the marketing agency. And then the end of 2022, AI really hit. We've been using it at our agency since 2015. And with AI hitting so big, we went back to teaching. So we started teaching AI classes at the beginning of 2023. And now it's beginning of 2024. And we've taught more than 6,000 people.
It's wild.
Yeah. And there's so many more people that need to learn about AI. And that's where, we still have the marketing services agency, but we're also teaching these AI courses because everybody needs to know how to use it. It is transforming business and it will never be the same again. Very exciting.
Mm-hmm. It is super exciting. I think it's one of those spaces too that, at least for me, I find it so overwhelming because I don't understand it. And if I don't understand it and it's different, I immediately want to avoid it. Right. And this, I am very proud to say I have been participating as much as I can in learning and just playing around with it, 20, 30 minutes a day and trying to digest it because we will never be the same. I agree with that. And I think, the reality is you're either going to accept it and stay relevant or become a relic. And, and especially in our space in small business. And so I really admire what it is that you're doing. And it's funny for everybody listening, Nicole and I are both members of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, and we're in this AI WhatsApp chat. And for the longest time, every time Nicole would comment, I would just it was one of those wow, who is this lady? She knows everything and she's so good at this. And, I understood about 20% of what it was that you were saying, but I just found it so impressive and so fascinating because you really, you're light years ahead of where it seems that most people are and being so proactive with this. And so, I think what are some of the things that you're seeing with use case scenarios? So, and the reason I ask this, especially for small business, Nicole, is I think it is one of those things where people will say, oh yeah, I'm using AI, I'm using Canva, or that isn't relevant for my business, or there's plenty of people who, my sister included, are like, what's AI? I don't understand. I don't need ChatGPT. I'm not writing stuff. And so I think there's just also that big disconnect in terms of how actually useful it can be in real life day-to-day scenarios.
Yeah. So we teach an applied AI level 1 class. We have had people in class that are 65 and 25. We have mostly women in our classes, I think, because it's all women that teach. And we just, that's who my audience is. And I love it. We have an amazing group of women in our course right now. And we are doing everything from spreadsheet and presentations to social media, video and images. And every single company needs to have a presence. They need to do marketing. They need to do sales. They need to do some analysis of what's going on in the business. And so in the level 1, we cover kind of all the basic use cases that a human would have as an individual in a company, no matter if you're the owner or not. And most people will have to do a spreadsheet at some point. Most people will have to do a presentation or a deck. Not everybody does, though. And so we teach all the basics because so there's a woman in the class. She's probably close to 50-ish. And at the end, she did our level 1 and level 2. And she said she appreciated not feeling dumb because she didn't know anything when she went to class. And now she feels really empowered and she feels much smarter. And for us, accessibility is the number one priority so that anybody can come to class. They don't feel stupid no matter where they're starting, because there's an opportunity for small businesses to overtake bigger businesses right now. If you can automate and use AI in your processes, a lot of people start in customer service and marketing because that's a pretty easy area to start. Then you can scale your business in a way that was never possible before. And we're seeing these systems that are end to end, from prospecting to closing clients using AI. Right now, the prospecting side is the one, that part of it needs the most help. It's really generic and like not super great right now. We're testing out a lot of different tools for that, but we can have AI help us do discovery calls or even do them for us. We have AI to answer questions on our website, book meetings. One of our clients booked an extra $50,000 in the first month of having a booking bot on his website, and he tied it to a CRM system. And so, and it's a tile and grout business. And just through having the booking bot on the website, they could answer people's questions. And so there are these little things that you can do just one off. And that's what I like about, that's how we design class. You could just pick one thing and implement that one thing. And then on the bigger perspective, if you have a team, there are tools that really supercharge teams and allow them to work together. So ChatGPT is pretty individual. Yes, they have a team account, but it's still really individual because it's individual accounts on teams. It's not actually sharing information in the back end and sharing prompts and sharing knowledge. But tools like Jasper can superpower a team. Whether you have 3 people or 300 people, this stuff scales. And anybody who does marketing, social media, you'll save like 80% of your time if you're using AI. And you still do, as the human involved, like you need to do that 20% and check over everything, make sure it still feels like a human. But it'll save you, I would say, about 80% in that category. And that's what we're seeing consistently.
Yeah, I would say even for us too, like we're trying to use it as much as we can. And I find it so useful to just get my gears grinding sometimes as well, where I don't have the prompts perfected and it doesn't quite sound like me just yet, but the time saved in just having a template to go off of, or new ideas or brainstorms, it really is so cool. And I think for me, the more comfortable that I've gotten with it, the more time it has saved. And this stuff, what I find interesting is that it is very intuitive and it's easy to learn, even if you're bad with technology like me. I still don't know how to use TikTok, you guys. So like that's what you're dealing with here, and I'm able to utilize some of these AI tools. And so I also probably just sounded like I was 75 years old, but that is for anybody listening who hasn't like dove into this yet. I promise you it's so helpful. But then to your point, I kind of want you to talk a little bit more about it, is the scalability part. So you're saying these small businesses can take over big businesses, and I'm thinking, they can make decisions quickly, implement this stuff without the red tape, the contracts, and the hierarchy of changes that occur in big business. But I think you're more so talking to the capabilities and having the right people in the driver's seat to conquer what big business is doing. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. And again, it depends on your business. If your products or services, or, it really depends on what your business is, where the opportunity for scale is. Mm-hmm. I have a marketing agency, and our opportunities for scale are now, don't tell anybody this is a big secret. We charge a lot for our marketing strategies. And now our marketing strategies are like, they're all done by AI. We do have to check them. That takes hours to check them. But we're able to deliver even better marketing strategies than the ones that would have taken us 4 to 6 weeks to do. So we still need like 2 or 3 weeks because we have a few people check depending on what the areas are. But we could we can get these out faster. So I can serve up more product in our case and have a better product. Like our marketing strategies are amazing now because we can include creative things. We can include story brand, all of these things that AI does for us because we have developed the prompts and we know how to ask AI to give us what we want. And it changes. It's not consistent yet what the outputs are. So sometimes it takes a little bit more time than others, but it's enjoyable. We can deliver an even better product in a shorter amount of time. And there's a company I was talking to, they get like 900 phone calls every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they can have AI answering all of them.
Yeah.
They don't have to answer any. If you have email inquiries or however your customer service is set up, if you still have a human in the loop, you'll save at least 30% of your time. If you decide to take humans out, the studies are showing that AI answers people's questions faster than humans do and more accurately than humans do. So once you have your bots trained up on your information, they have access to it. Their brains are faster than human brains. And to get the right context to give to the customer to answer, it's faster at customer service and better at it. And that customer touch point is so important to me. I don't want it to be messed up by a bot. But if the bot can do a better job than we can, I'll use it. And even your email marketing that you're writing, your responses, your sequences, all of that, like you can have some really good content done by AI. And if you've paid for some course in the past and it has, they have a formula for you to follow, you feed that to AI and AI will follow the formula and spit out your information. And you can tune the voice to sound like you. And one of the ways we've done that everybody here could do is get a transcript of you. Everybody probably has AI bots following them on phone calls and Zoom. You can take that transcript, take the part where you're speaking out of it, feed that to AI, and ask it to describe the voice. And likely that will be a good voice for you to use. And it's just a really quick way to get your voice. And you can ask for famous people that have that voice. So then when you're creating your outputs, you might be like, hey, here's my voice description. And I want it to be a little more like Neil Patel in this case, because I want it to have more marketing jazziness. Or I might want it to be a little bit more Michelle Obama at heart and make it lengthy,
Yeah. How fun.
Yeah.
I'm like listening to you right now, taking all these tips in the back of my mind, forgetting that we're even like in an interview. But this is super smart, you guys, because we only have so many minutes in the day. And so to be able to take this and look at your opportunities for scalability and capacity pain points, like really, really huge. And then you're the expert, and there's experts out there that can help you implement this and explain it on a level that you get it, which is huge. And I think, again, like that's when it comes to hiring a pro, I think sometimes that's number one, the fear. And then two, the disconnect is like, well, I'm not going to understand what they're saying to me. You might as well speak another language. And then second, I don't think you're accessible. So, and I know that you are. And Nicole has, and we'll share this at the end. It'll all be in our show notes, everything that you have, what your company is doing, the university. We will share that with you guys because I know many of you listening personally, and hopefully there's many of you listening that I don't know that this is important and you cannot ignore it or avoid it. So, shifting gears a little bit, Nicole, and you went from ex-gamer, pro snowboarder to holy shit, I'm pregnant. My life is different. And no business experience from what it sounded like, what gave you, and I may know the answer to this, but like number one, the gumption to say like, yep, I'm going to own a business and crush it. And then early on, I suppose, what were some of the things that you either told yourself or did that allowed you to keep going? Because it's my guess that you didn't just like get pregnant, have this brilliant idea and start a company and it was successful overnight, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, like when I was snowboarding, I had that X Games goal and I did all the things to get there. I wanted to be a level 3 snowboard instructor. I did all the things to get there. And in this case, my mission was to make parents' lives better. And my goal was that every new parent would know about baby legs because it will save you time in diaper changes. It will save you heartache and time in potty training. It will allow you to connect with your child more. So if you are a good parent, you will have baby legs. If you are a good grandma, you will gift them, or a good auntie or a good friend. Yeah. And so it was the mission that every parent, like making parents' lives better, but the goal that every new parent needs to know about baby legs. That kept me going because, I mean, there's so much shit you have to overcome. And I didn't consciously put dollar amounts or numbers or think about starting a business. I started selling them out of my diaper bag, the homemade ones I made. And I sold like 100 pairs in the first 2 weeks. And I was just in this like, oh, I need to make more parents' lives better. How do I do that? And that was the underlying mission that kept things going and growing. And so there was never a concern. Like I hear these mindset things about getting to $1 million or whatever, but I never, ever thought about that, ever. I just thought about making parents' lives better and that every new parent needed to know about it. And so there was never a block to it except for just trying to figure out how to get in the door at this place or in the door at that place. But most of the time it was talking with groups of moms online and that really spread the message everywhere because, ladies talk and these groups are global. And so even back in 2005, 2006, there were forums with women from all over the world. And that's how it spread with these seeds in all these different countries. And these moms are like, oh, I need these and I need to tell all my mom friends about them. One woman in New York facilitated a co-op order. So I gave all these moms a wholesale price on them. And it was over 600 pairs that she facilitated this order, and so moms are my biggest advocates. And it's like, how can I serve them more? And how can I make their lives better? And so through co-op ordering programs was an early thing that we did, and we did tons of different collaborations with other brands that moms loved. Before collabs were such a big thing, they were kind of non-existent and people are like, well, the customers only have so much money to spend. Why would they spend money? Like, why are you promoting this other brand? Because that detracts from you. But that's how we had loyal followers to our email newsletter, was featuring other brands that we loved. And so we were in the very early days of those kind of strategic partnerships. And even now I think about how to get into the doors that I want to get into for what I'm doing. And I was re-listening. There's a really good podcast I was listening to yesterday again, where he said, somebody woke up with the resources that you need, and you just need to find out who that is, call them up, send them an email, text message, whatever. I mean, I was trying to get into the Gates organization for this client of ours on the marketing side. I walked in the front door. I had looked up a woman on LinkedIn that I wanted to meet with. And I was like, hey, I'm here from Vancouver, and they're in Seattle. And I just thought I'd stop by and say hi to so-and-so. She's not expecting me, but can you, and I talked to her. And the woman at the front desk rang her up. This other woman was in a meeting, but then she got back to me because I walked in there like, hey, how's it going? I've got something that can benefit you. And so I think it's just that, like, for me, figuring it out of how to do it almost eliminates the fear or tampers the fear. And even if I'm afraid of doing something like snowboarding and jumping off of a huge jump is scary. It's so scary. And so it's not that I wasn't afraid. I just did it anyways. Like, I imagine fear is sitting right next to me and I'm just going to go forward with it anyways. Because you can get over some fears as you do something more and more. But there are some things that you might still be afraid of all the time, but you do them anyways because you need to further that mission.
Yeah, I love that. And, I think fear is a human thing, and to have the expectation that you're just going to be fearless and never have that again, I think is completely ridiculous. But to your point, living with it and just choosing to do it anyway, and that's a huge pivot point for many entrepreneurs, and I think to have that appetite for risk too, right? And being willing to do it. And, and as you were talking, I kept thinking, I think it's Simon Sinek who talks about this, but like, as long as you know your why, the how doesn't matter, right? You figure that out. And I'm like, this is exactly why your why and having that mission is so significant, because you have this laser vision for who you're helping, the impact you want to make. And so nothing else matters. You're going to get it, right? You're going to figure that out, and it doesn't matter what hurdles you're jumping. And, I'm kind of very, very similar. And it's funny when you said, a lot of business owners have it like $1 million mark. I never thought about the money when I got started, which I know sounds ironic because I started a financial planning firm. But for me, it was like the laser focus on number one, not being homeless. But then number two was succeeding because I wanted to make this impact and show women that there is a space to talk about this and have conversations and kind of create this movement to normalize financial success, right? Where you're not going to have this taboo thing around it. And so it's always about the money, but it's never about the money, right? And I think if you lead with that, the significance behind it is that anything that it takes to achieve it doesn't really feel impossible ever. So I just love that you shared that. I think it's just so cool.
Yeah. So I met Simon Sinek before he wrote Start With Why, like years ago.
You did. Cool.
Yeah. And I had one of those moments. I was in New York City and I just like called him up. I was like, hey, what are you doing? Do you want to go get some lunch? And I happened to be in town, which, by the way, works tremendously at anybody you want to get meetings with. Yeah.
Are you friends with Simon Sinek?
I mean, loosely. I don't talk to him like I used to, but yeah. So he and I were talking one night. This is when I was back in Seattle, and we were talking on the phone. I remember this so vividly. I was sitting in the sauna, and he's just like, "Your why is a classical tragedy," and I was like, "Okay," so because we were having the why conversation, and my why is that, and I do this in so many realms, is that being the mom that I wished I had.
Okay.
Like I had a mother, but I don't know if you've heard the book Mother Hunger, but it's like, we don't always have the mom that we would like to have, have been raised by. So I give this motherly love and care to people, even my employees, that I didn't have and that I would want to have. And that's how I relate with people. And it's the kind of care that is, I believe in you as a human, and I will help you to get the resources you need to get what you want out of life. So for my employees, it could be training. It could be, I don't know, if they want to go on some trip somewhere, like we'll do that. Or I have someone who's going to law school and we give her a paid week off to study when she has exams. But I support their dreams and empowering them to do it. I don't do it for them. I don't pack their lunch, but I will help them do the things in their lives that they want to do. And now, having had a kid, and like my child is almost 20 years old, I've been through that cycle with my own child and created the relationship and like created myself as that parent too, to my child, which is amazing to now have a super relationship with my kid. Like I love my child so much and they love me, and we have such a good, close, connected relationship that I wouldn't have ever thought was possible until one day when Sarah was 7, and it occurred to me, I'm like, I can create this moment any way that I want to, and it can last for the rest of our relationship, because, they were being a kid and doing their thing, and and I decided to change the context of how we were relating to each other. And so thankful that I did. But that is the energy that I bring, and that's my why. And so even with this AI stuff, whatever people come to class with, whatever they want to achieve, we are there to support them in achieving it and learning what they need to learn. And again, that word accessible, that's the number one word that I've told my team. And we've had people come out of class without ever having heard us say that, saying it was accessible. And so I know like that success for me is when somebody feels that, when they're like, this was good. I didn't feel stupid, super accessible. I got what I needed. This is going to help me in my business. And so like, I'm very connected to that, to the why for myself too. And if I'm doing things, sometimes I question it because it's like, is this in alignment? You know, like sometimes it feels a bit off, like taking certain gigs or working with different organizations. Like I'm not fully bought into their cause or their belief and I don't want to support it. So maybe not work with them, you know?
Yeah. I was just going to ask you that. Is that a no for you then?
Yeah. We do have some, we actually have a list in our CRM of people that we're not working with for values conflict.
That is fantastic. I just had a conversation with somebody about that too, you know, in the like permission, almost like it's okay to say no if something doesn't align, because you're never going to be able to deliver your best authentic work anyways, if there's constant friction. And that's okay, you know, and I think it takes a lot of experience and courage to also be able to do that. I was going to say confidence, but I don't think that's the right word. It's courage to say and put that line in the sand to stay completely true to who you are, your values and ethics within the company. But then what a cool way to lead your team and standing by the values that your organization talks about. Like it's proving to them that you mean what you say. And I think that in itself is like the golden thing.
Oh, and seeing it in our pipeline show up as like, here are people that we're not working with and that's okay. That was such a good, like, it was such a good feeling that we did that and that we could put people in that bucket and it validates how they feel about that, the people or what they stand for also, because, you know, we've had some opportunities with organizations where it's a values conflict and like from what they do in the world or sometimes with just how the people are, you know, and how they treat us and how they treat the team. There's even some AI tools that we're not using because of values conflict with people running the companies, you know, and the team was like, I just can't work with these people anymore. So, you know, they don't want to. And I need my people more than I need that tool, you know?
Yeah. Love it. Love it. I think it's so great. And more companies should do that, right? Because otherwise, where is the integrity?
Yeah.
So, and I found too that when you stick to that, your business grows. It still comes in. You're not restricting yourself, and you're not Amazon either. So, very, very different. So thank you. I want to be respectful of your time. I know that we're coming up to time here, and so Nicole, is there anything that you want to say or leave the listeners with before we wrap up today?
I mean, ask. Like as a thing to do, ask, figure out how to get what you want, get the connections that you want. Just ask people because most people like to be helpful and make introductions or, you know, have a conversation. And then on that, like my give is we're having a free 3-day intensive AI workshop at the end of May. And we'll show you kind of the inside of how we do what we do during this 3-day intensive. It's the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of May. If you are interested, you can get on the wait list on our website at aismartmarketing.com. And there's a join the waitlist button at the top. And that then will give you the information when the registration is open for the workshop. And this summer, if anybody else like me has kids that are college age and they're junior, senior, or even an unemployed marketing student, something like that, we're doing a free version of our course this summer for young people. And we really, because there's some universities that are saying no to AI. There's a local one here that does, and they're refusing to teach it or acknowledge it in their marketing departments. And it is vital. So in my rebelliousness, I guess, I'm like, okay, we're going to train your people for free this summer. And then we also are partnering with a nonprofit that serves underrepresented business owners. They started in Oakland, California. And so we'll have people from their community in the course as well. So it'll be university students and then the underrepresented business owners in the classes. It's a 12-week course in the summertime. You'll do a project during the course and you'll learn all the basics of AI. And ideally, business owners and students would get matched up. So if you have kids, or if you are an underrepresented business owner yourself, that small business, micro businesses, those are the people who can apply for the summer program. If you get on the wait list in general on our website, we'll make sure you know about the summer program too. And there will be an application process for that one because we pride ourselves in delivering a really great class and having really good service and having really good people in the class. So we want to vet everybody that is invited into class. Because again, it's that protecting that environment. Sometimes I invite people for free just to create a better environment because I know there'll be a contribution. And like the unemployed marketers, so many people are laid off right now. And then AI marketing, you should be able to get a job anywhere and really supercharge those departments.
Awesome. That is so great. Please take advantage of these resources that she shared. And thank you so much. I truly appreciate you taking the time, Nicole. This was awesome, super helpful. Until next time, my powerhouses, continue to be courageous.